Welcome back to episode 7 of Weekly Q&A with Steph. I'm really excited to be back on board. I'm feeling much better this week than I have in previous weeks. So I hope you enjoyed our little fun exercise of episode 6 being my fishy hiatus. So let's get cracking and straight into the question.
Whitson Watt asked, how has Growthwise coped with the mining downturn in Newcastle?
That's a really good question, and I want to preface to say I think Growthwise has an advantage here in that we've never been predominantly mining related. So our clients have never been predominantly mining related people. We've dealt with everything from creatives to tech to a lot of trades, and certainly had our fair share of people who, trades especially, who actually did work in the mining industry as contractors and as business suppliers, but our business has never predominantly been about mining. Having said that, I do think that Newcastle has been at a big advantage in comparison to some of the other towns in that we've all really rallied together to drive our other industries. Newcastle's lucky that we've always had a very, very good creative group and a big creative industry, and that has really thrived in the last 5 years as mining in the Hunter Valley has started to have that downturn. So I think for any towns and for any cities that are going through an adjustment in that their major industry or their major employer is actually starting to go, it's up to that entire town and up to that entire community to really start to gauge what's going to work for them, to really brandy together and bring that community to that next phase and to that next level. Now, Newcastle obviously has an advantage. We've gone through this before with the steelworks closing down many years ago, and there really has been a buzz, I think, in the last 5 years of everything else that has been happening. And that buzz has only come about because there are a lot of people in our community, us included at Growthwise, who are very passionate about getting that small business economy going and about getting people collaborating together. So that means getting our government bodies and our industries collaborating with small businesses, collaborating with universities, and collaborating with all of the different business fields that are out there, and really trying to get people to work together. Because I believe if something is changing and if you're losing your major industry, then it is going to take that whole community, that whole town or whatever it is, to decide what's next and to really push that forward. The other exciting part that I think is very different nowadays to what it was a long time ago is for a lot of businesses, we don't have to just be dealing with the person next door. So certainly as accountants, we aren't geographically, we have to deal with people who are just in our nice little geographical area because we need to see them. With all of the technology that we have available now, the world is literally your oyster. So you as an accountant can be working with people all the way in Perth, or you could be working with people in Darwin, somewhere in South Australia, literally anywhere at all in Australia. It's really easy for an accountant to be able to deal with small businesses, medium businesses, because we've got a lot of technology at our fingertips that allows that to happen. And the same is true for a lot of small businesses. I mean, our corner store or our local retailers didn't really have a great opportunity to be selling to a worldwide market 10 years ago, and now it's actually really easy for that person to set up, to have everything online, and to have their market or their potential customers to be anywhere in the world, as opposed to being the person that they could sell to that walked into their door. So I do think, to go back to the original question, Growthwise has been very lucky. We haven't had a predominantly mining related client base, so we haven't felt a lot of the impact of the downturn in that industry. Newcastle certainly has as a whole, but I think we've done a very, very good job at banding together as a community, at having really great leaders who are pushing the envelope of other things that we can be doing, so that we're starting to be known for a lot more than just our mining, and everyone coming together to push that forward. Would love to chat further on your community and what you're trying to do at the moment in getting not away from mining, but actually bringing some more services and some more industries into the fold. For those of you who might have missed episode 5, and I highly suggest you go back and watch it, I've just spent the last 4 weeks in the US. First of all, we started at South by Southwest, one of my most favourite conferences to go to every year in Austin, Texas. And then we travelled around the rest of the US, having a holiday, but also looking at what's actually going on in different cities and towns. And one of the questions that I always get asked about at Growthwise, because I'm obviously really passionate about this, is building a community and building the culture in that community that everyone's trying to strive and drive for the same things or similar things, and really working towards a shared goal, but all still being able to do their own individual stuff. And it was amazing. We started out at South by Southwest listening to Steve Case as an example, who's doing a lot around the non-Silicon Valley type stuff in the US for entrepreneurs, and especially around startups. And on my travels, I just was seeing more and more cases where communities of smaller scale, so not your traditional New Yorks and Silicon Valleys, were coming together to be able to really get their business community ticking along, getting excited, sharing and driving it forward as a whole, as opposed to what happens in a lot of communities in that things are very insular and there doesn't seem to be a lot of traction happening. And one of the favourite places that we visited while I was in the US to have a look at this stuff was Santa Monica. And yes, Google's bought Google Fiber in and you know, Google's there in Salesforce and a whole host of other stuff. But it's amazing to see, I was there 5 years ago, back again this year, the difference that someone like Google coming in and someone that's obviously from a town perspective gotten really behind what's going on from the business and tech community, that it's now one of the places to be seen, and there's a great buzz on the streets, all the coffee shops are full of people who are working, etc. And it really was quite fun. And I think we as accountants have a huge role to play in our communities and in what we're trying to build, to be able to help educate small business owners that they don't have to be doing everything themselves out there. There's great people that they can collaborate with. There's great people that can help them in all different facets, and also people who will definitely help challenge them to grow their businesses further and further. And as accountants, we are literally placed right in the best spot and right in the middle of what we can do to help our local communities, but also help communities in certain industries. So I was really lucky on the weekend to mentor at the CSIRO Hack the Sun event in Newcastle, which was a huge fun event that they had everyone from, you know, young 20-year-olds all the way through to older professors who were literally ready to retire, all coming in together to build something, to build a business, and to really start to see how they can expand. Now, this was really dedicated to only looking at solar and obviously Hack the Sun, that's what it was called. And again in Newcastle, there's another hackathon happening this weekend that's dedicated purely to the medical style of stuff. And all of these bits and pieces I find so fun and so invigorating as an accountant, because our skills in understanding businesses, in understanding numbers, in being able to impart our knowledge from an advisory perspective makes a huge difference to the young kids coming through, as well as the older ones who are willing to take a risk and get a little bit excited. And I see our job, or our potential job, the exciting part of being an accountant, is we have an opportunity not only to do that in our own local communities, but we have an opportunity, if you're super excited about solar and you want to get into that community and you want to get into fostering that growth, whether it be Australia, whether you're in the US, or whether you want to be able to do that worldwide, that's now our opportunity. So the exciting thing that I see happening around the world, and certainly in the US at the moment, is communities coming together, not just local, not just geography communities, but communities that are centred around an industry, that are centred around a common theme or a common thing that they're trying to solve. And it's great to see that old community feel start to come back, and it's great to see what that can do for businesses as a whole. We all know in Australia that Melbourne's thriving in that startup scene, and we've got so many co-working spaces and so much sharing happening. I want to challenge you as accountants, especially the younger ones that are coming through and getting really excited and have the opportunity to go deep into an industry or deep into an area, this is a huge opportunity. It's a great thing for your clients to be able to really bring them together, to get that tribe happening, and to really have fun in this area as well. So I've talked to a lot of accountants over the last couple of weeks since I've been back, what I found and what are kind of the really exciting parts for me since traveling, and this has to be the number one, that I think we've all got a big opportunity in the future now, as well as many years to come, in helping building out these beautiful little communities so that we've got lots of exciting and fun things to work on as we progress. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on one of these weekly episodes. Certainly go back and have a review of the ones that we've done prior. There's been some great questions that I've been able to answer there as well. I'm also doing some webinars for Karbon that really bring these topics into a lot of depth. So really a lot of how to, so that we can explore this stuff in a lot more detail than just a 5-minute Q&A as well. So we'll put the links to that below and keep asking your questions using the hashtag StephQA.